Welcome back to the Farms in BC podcast. My name is Jay Kak, and today we got a treat for you guys. We got Gaurav and Amir Maan from Maan Farms here in Abbotsford, BC. And I'm super excited for these guys because I know quite a bit about them, but I've yet to learn a lot more. So stay tuned. Awesome, guys. Welcome. This is the first time here at our office here in Surrey, but I'm glad you guys made it out here. We were actually planning on coming out your way. Mm-hmm. So Amir, Gaurav, how you guys doing today?
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us. Doing really well. Doing really well. We didn't hit any traffic on the way here, which is the best. We really enjoyed it, and it's a beautiful office. Nice to see that you guys are centrally located. So I'd love to, be a part of this. Thank you so much.
I can't say the same because I hit all the traffic on the way here, so that was fun. But I'm glad we got together because I don't get this opportunity too often. Even though we're from Abbotsford, and I probably know each other's families, all this and that, but we don't really get the opportunity to sit down and really have a chat. Go in depth a little bit. And it's funny because I feel like I know you guys so well. And one of the main reasons for that is your guys' podcast, the Modern Farmer podcast.
The Modern Farmer. That's
right. I don't think
like a long time ago.
Yeah, man. That's right. It kind of speaks to the timeline when I was really in the farming world because at that time I was spending like 8 to 10 hours in a tractor, right? So it was really ideal to have something to listen to just nonstop.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure I went through it like twice, but
that was almost 30 episodes.
Yeah, I know.
Almost 30 episodes, and each episode was like 45 minutes or so.
Man, so you can imagine, right? So it's I feel like I got a good introduction.
Sure.
And it's funny because at that time you guys were saying so many things along the lines of, we're looking into canned wine, we're looking into these kind of things, and look at that. We got the execution, right? So that's awesome, man. I love that.
Yeah.
And you guys really embrace that like hustle culture, kind of just do it first and figure it out along the way. And I can relate to that. I think that's the way to go. Mm-hmm. And man, you know what? Modern Farmer podcast. What happened? Are you guys still doing that, or is that making a comeback?
You guys are taking us out of retirement right now. You've been in retirement for a while now. It's what is it? Almost been about three and a half years since we did it.
Yeah.
I think maybe 2.5, 3 years around there.
I think it was around COVID started.
Yeah, it was 2020 for sure.
Before COVID,
yeah.
And why did we start it? I think we just wanted to explore a different way of our passion for agriculture and learning more about what we were actually doing on a day-to-day basis. I think it also followed some of the narrative of what Gary Vee spoke to, kind of just document and have those meetings documented and just make a recording. And how cool it would be to look back after 30, 40, 50 years or whatever, 3 years, and see all we talked about and everything we did. I still haven't listened to an episode yet. I cannot listen to my own voice. It's so hard.
That's crazy.
So it's actually one of the worst things. I don't know how people do it. I've never listened to one of my own episodes. We have someone who edited it for us and we put it up live. But through those experiences of sitting down week after week, because I think we did it every week, similar to what you guys do, we got to meet a ton of new people and explore conversations I don't think that we would have ever explored if we didn't have that rigorous schedule of just doing it continuously. And it's allowed us to kick it off, saying we definitely tried it. We gave it a good, strong shot. Will we bring it back? I think there is potential. Are we really in the same mind space as we were before? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of what we did 3 years ago was kind of self-centered in a sense because we wanted to know and learn and discover. And it was a part of our discovery of what we kind of wanted to do as a passion. And we took every single episode into a new direction of what else we can learn, right, for us. And then we shared it with our audience. And so someone like you received a lot of knowledge because we were also very interested in learning about what the host spoke about or what my brother was doing or what I was doing, right? So that's why we did it. Will we do it again? I think we definitely can. Is right now the right time for us? Not sure. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think looking back, I think the content and just documenting everything, I think we were on a very high Gary Vee high.
Yeah.
Right?
I can tell, yeah.
Remember the 5149?
Yeah. So I think that's what kind of sparked it. And we did it every week. I think one thing that we could have done better is have better structure, right? Looking back at it, but I think it was like freestyle, fun.
Yeah.
I think we came at it with an angle of how do we give value to people, right? And we got to have conversations with great people. Like we had a conversation with my mom.
Yeah.
We brought in a professor, one of Amir's professors. We brought in
John Schaller,
one of my employees, John Schaller. We brought in somebody from the U.S. I think it was the Maze guy.
Oh yeah, that was a legend.
That was fun.
That was a legend,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure if you listen to it, you could get some nuggets, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of awesome because like for us, we were kind of in our usual routines on the farm, right? So we're always kind of looking at, me personally, at least I should say, was always trying to look for the new angle, like what's the new thing to do, right? So that was kind of awesome because it really dived into so many different avenues of pursuing agriculture, right? Primarily in like agritourism, but like a lot of different angles, right? That you don't normally think of.
Yeah.
And obviously that led to the winery as well. And I was super interested in that part because I was like, you know what? Vertical integration is everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're doing a lot of the similar stuff that you guys were doing, right? But we just didn't have that set up in a way that made sense. And I mean, we still don't. I mean, I still thought about it. And, you know, I reached out a few, the winemaker, for example, that you guys mentioned, right? So had a chat, you know, really kind of worked through it. And, you know, it made sense, but I also had to kind of put in that kind of capital, right? So allocating that kind of capital towards that kind of a venture, it obviously takes a lot, right? So, and it's not something that's completely off the tables, and I don't even know, you know, if that's something in the future or not, but it's something that you really, really start thinking about because you're, you know, really into it. And you guys are really into it. You can really kind of get into your guys' mindsets while you were going through it. Right?
I mean, it's kind of going off topic, but it's a really interesting time for wineries right now.
Yeah.
In the Okanagan. I think I saw like 25% of wineries were on sale in the Okanagan.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Wow.
So it's very interesting. I mean, I would love to hear your take.
Yeah.
From like a real estate perspective. Like
it's funny because I see that too, right? There, maybe it's because of the fires, maybe it's because of something like this, but I mean, I have heard that there is quite a few on sale, but the prices are quite hard to attain, right? Like if you get into it, it's like, how do you float it, right? Like day to day.
Those are on market. What about off market?
Oh, there's much more than that.
There's probably way more than that, right?
Yeah. Opportunity is you getting to them first.
Right?
Yeah.
What kind of names are there? What, big wineries or which ones?
Not really big wineries. I think it's going to be kind of like the big wineries are going to take on the small wineries. You know, that's what's going to happen eventually. I think what happened was that we had the fires, we had the frost that came in, killed like 50% of the vines. That's a big talk right now. That happened in 2022. So we're really going to see it now. Versus like in 2023, there was still 2021 vintages. And now 2022 vintages are going to come out, and there's going to be a lot less wine at a lot higher price. Right? So it's going to be very interesting for the industry. And the tourism got killed because of the fires. Like they maybe have like 1 or 2 months of capitalizing on tourism, and they lost a month at least. Right? Right? So it's really interesting. But it's kind of off topic, but
no. Actually, that's actually where we wanted to head into, right? So the Maan Farms winery, obviously, that I'll let you guys explain kind of how that started because the story is awesome, right? And a lot of people don't actually know because you know I'm a huge advocate for you guys. I'm always telling people to like go try that wine, go try the maize, go try all this stuff, right? Because it's unlike anything else, right? And for example, for you guys, I know the story is amazing. So I'll let you guys tell it, how that winery started, where you guys went from a regular farm to the winery side.
Yeah, I think it was honestly, my dad had the idea of vertically integrating the farm. You know, I think one of the things he said was like, from a pound of fruit, at that time, it was $3 or $4. But you can take that same pound of fruit, turn it into a bottle of wine, and it becomes $20. Value-added product. And what I think was very smart is he didn't look at it as like, you know, some people come in and they want to build this giant winery right away. He looked at it in a way as like, okay, we can start slow and slowly build, right? He didn't want to put in like multi-$1,000, $100,000, you know, tanks or equipment. He wanted to kind of start small, and it's grown like that. It's grown organically. So I think it just started as an idea, and then you know, honestly, being totally frank, farming wasn't my thing. It was more of Amir's thing, right? So my dad's like, one of the great things that my dad and my mom have done is keep all the kids a part of the business, right? So I remember having conversations with my dad. I'm like, I don't want to farm. And he's like, I'll throw you in the winery. And I kind of took it on, you know. There was a lot of like 12, 13, 14-hour days, right, during school at the same time. And it's slowly just grown every year. You know, we didn't really set out with any expectations. It was like, take a day at a time, right? And I think what really sparked it was honestly in 2014. I'm not sure if you know a little bit about our history, but our farm was burnt down, right? We had the arson, and I think one of the things that was left standing was the winery. And I was like, why can't we sell our wine wholesale? So I went to a couple of liquor stores. I was super nervous, you know, and then they loved the wine. And I was like, okay, we can kind of scale this. And it went from 10 stores to 20 stores. Now there's 300 stores in BC, 70 stores in Alberta. We're thinking about, you know, rest of Canada, looking to go to the States. Why not? Right? So that's a great thing about a wine is you can scale it, and it can be worldwide, right? But I think going back to the roots is like we didn't think that we were going to get to that point. We just kind of started small, and it slowly just became a passion.
Just taking it one step at a time, just adding on as time goes. And it's funny, in our episode regarding agritourism, I gave you guys a shout out as well, because I was like, that's literally the way to go. Like, you got to add on over time. It doesn't happen all at once. And especially with the licenses and stuff like that, right? Like you got to set out certain licenses, like for lounge licenses and all this and that. You can't just get them right off the bat, right? I imagine you can tell me a little bit more about that, how that works, because I know that's the difficult part, I think, in starting this whole thing is that you kind of have to, first of all, have some sort of facility, a business plan, and all this and that. But what is the procedure for like starting that if somebody wanted to start that?
Sure. So you know, apply for a manufacturer's license. Will take some time. Some things that you need to know is that you should make a minimum of 4,500 liters of wine every year to you know, keep that license. But with that manufacturer's license, you also get a tasting room license. So that's already, you know, in that. You mentioned the lounge license. I think it took us 6 years to get the lounge license. Wow. Right? So we first had to plan out, okay, where do we want the lounge? You know, like I mentioned earlier, my dad didn't really, you know, he wanted to start it small, right? We didn't really have a lounge space dedicated. Then we kind of built this place, and then it took another 3 or 4 years to actually get it licensed. Right? So it takes a long time. I think it depends on the municipality. Some places are faster, some places are slower. But that's just, you know, definitely think about, you know, the future when it comes to a lounge license. There's different parameters, like there's only a certain amount of square meters that you can, you know, have for your seating. I think during COVID, they were super helpful. They included the patio, adding those things on, but
all the breweries had, like, you know, parking space, like parking lots were taken for basically, you know, lounging area kind of thing outside, right? So that was nice that they allowed that. And I think a lot of people, when it started getting taken away, were like, we kind of need this. You know what I mean? It was nice to have very extended space. 100%. And I'm sure that was helpful.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention is, like, if you're looking to start a winery, whether a grape winery or a fruit winery, one thing is that there's 2 licenses. There's a land-based winery, which is there's tax implications. There's a little bit less taxes, but you have to have at least 2 acres of fruit that you're growing, and you're proving that there's going to be a harvest, right? Over and above the 2 acres, 25% of the wines that you produce have to come from those acres. So you can actually talk to different wineries in the area, get 75% of your crop from somewhere else.
So isn't it 50%? I thought it was 50%, something like that.
I think 75. 25.
Oh wow, hey, that's okay. A little bit better.
Yeah, a little bit better. I think they're looking at actually changing that. Oh wow. Because a lot of these wineries were so devastated. So that's gonna happen. And there's a commercial license, whereas you can import grapes from anywhere or import juice from anywhere. So there's a couple commercial wineries like in the middle of Surrey that literally have Cab Sav, Cab Franc, Merlot juice or grapes that they thaw or they make during the season. So you can get great wines like that as well. So.
2 things most important though. What my brother said, Gaurav said. He said that he took on the sales and he spearheaded it himself. I think that's probably one of the most important parts, is that you had someone there to take every single part of those pieces and just consider them water under the bridge and say, oh, we'll figure it out. We'll solve it. So that's my, my father's personality has always been like that. Mine's always been like that. Gaurav's always been like that. It's like, that's not a big deal. We'll take it on. And the second thing is that we continue to innovate every single year. That's probably one of the most important parts is, hey, we tried this new. Okay, let's try that. Let's try this. And it takes years to really understand what works, what doesn't work. I think that's kind of also ties into why we did the podcast in the beginning. It's because we're still in explorative phase. We knew kind of what we wanted to do, but we weren't in the stage where we are right now in regards to scaling and taking the next venture on, right? So that's spearheading and making sure you always try something new.
And you're going to make mistakes. I mean, these are things that aren't easily, there's a time frame involved, right? So you might have made a mistake that, maybe that 3 months is wasted now because of XY mixed, whatever happened, right? There's nuances that you're going to learn along the way that you can implement next year, but you can't do it that season because you don't have the crop anymore, right? So it makes sense that it does take time.
Yeah. Mistakes. That's a good one. I made a ton, especially in farming, because we've always tried to do something which no one else has done, right? In regards to agriculture. And I remember one of the first years when we planted strawberries, it was the second year actually, we scaled it up from 10 rows to an acre of Albion and planted it into plasticulture. And I planted it too late and the winter got too cold and we lost the entire crop. So it was 1 acre. And this is when we were just getting to strawberries. We focused on raspberries and we had some blueberries going on. We lost the whole thing, but Dad said, it's all good. Let's retry it. So he was okay with letting me make mistakes and take on the next venture so I could learn about it. And that compounding allowed us to get to where we are right now.
Yeah. And it comes into the agritourism side as well. I mean, for example, when you're talking about the strawberries, at least I know you guys are into the vertical now, which is huge. It's not many people doing that. And, everybody wants to do it, but they don't take that first step into it. For example, I'm sure you guys get more interest of people saying they want to get into wineries or fruit wines or something like that, but they don't actually take that step, right? So you guys are actually moving forward, even if they did catch up. And that's one of the conversations that you guys had in the podcast is that, even if they do catch up, and this is Gary Vee mindset, you're going to be already onto the next thing, right? So it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that's right.
And in fact, they're probably just going to be helping the number one player get more traction, which is going to be you guys, right? So being the first in line is still most important.
Yep. It is. Speed is really important.
Yeah.
I think speed is probably, for any decision you make, it's better to make the decision, fail fast, and then go ahead and try a different option out. That time's going to pass no matter what. Give it a shot, right? Obviously, don't risk your entire house on it.
Yeah.
But give it a shot.
That's the danger in farming,
give it a shot, right?
You kind of have to, in a way, invest heavy amount of assets to make any of these things move. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that you guys have done that aren't super heavily asset involved. Like, for example, marketing. The way you guys do marketing is different as well, right? And that's not something that, is heavily investing, but it makes a big impact right, on the rest of your stuff.
Yeah. We were in Connecticut. We were in Connecticut, then we went for a conference. Then my brother and I, we went to New York. We were just hanging out, and I said to my brother, I was like, man, Gary Vee said to post 3 times a day, every single day. He said, do it. I said, what do you mean? He's like, just do it. So I started posting every single day, 3 times a day. I did it for like 2 to 3 years, all right? Ended up hiring, so I had my own camera, did everything, took all the photos and everything, all the videos, all the editing. Then we ended up hiring 1 employee. It was really intern-oriented, just helped me out. And I realized, okay, this is what it takes to really make your own content and post it yourself. Then at one point, we had 4 different employees. I had a copywriter, I had a designer, I had someone, just a photographer, and I had a videographer. All 4 part-time to full-time positions. And that's what allowed us to create a bank of content. Every single day we were taking content, every day. It was a challenge to say, okay, what are we going to take next? So it started in February all the way throughout the year, and we did it for 2 to 3 years. And then still at the same time, I was still posting everything. So I would post every single day, 3 times a day. What that allowed me to learn is that feedback loop. What works, what doesn't work, understand what the customer appreciates, and then also understand why posting is important in regards to actually having ROI in your business. So why are we out here making social media content? What's the point of it if we're actually not getting more people through out the door? And how does that actually make compounding effects? So just understanding all of that and putting a time in, time out. And then now I've given multiple presentations on marketing for people who are like-minded in the same industry in North America just for this. So it's helped substantially to get to where we are. And we have an awesome marketing person, which does everything now. So I haven't posted for like 2 to 3 years. I plan on not posting for the next 3 to 4 years, but I'm always in it.
That's
So,
awesome, man. Like, yeah, it's actually very inspiring because, like, I could tell there was some marketing geniuses behind something here in the background, right? So I was like, man, what is happening here, right? Because so much different content was coming out, and from multiple different channels. Because you got Maan Farms Winery, you got the Maan Farms main channel, and then you each have your individual channels.
Yeah.
Is there others that I missed? I don't know.
There's the wedding. There was goat yoga at once, and then there was haunted. Haunted. So there's 4 to 5 main ones. We try to post on everything full bore at all times. And that's just Instagram, right? We're talking about.
Yeah.
So there's TikTok, there's Facebook. We want to explore
all
LinkedIn,
the media
there's
channels,
YouTube Shorts now. So you have to be everywhere, and attention is the number one asset. Yeah. You have to have attention, right? So, like, you guys are doing a great job about it in regards to shorts and your guys' Instagram reels you guys are doing. So it's awesome.
And we got to pick up from different industries and apply it to our industries. And I think that's the best way to go about it, right? Because who expected farms to kind of be blowing up in content, right? But you guys are doing it, right? You're probably picking it up from different locations and you're kind of pulling it into your niche. 100%. And likewise for us, we're kind of doing that same thing for real estate, right? But more in the farm real estate side. And there's never-ending growth in the marketing world. Like, you can throw all the money at it, but it's you got to leverage it at some point, right? So it's up to a limit.
100%.
Yeah, I think it's just authenticity.
Yeah, exactly.
We were bringing people the real farm. And you growing up in a farm, you don't realize that people elsewhere, they don't know anything about a farm. Yeah. People come to a farm and they've never seen a chicken or a goat. But that's all you've seen your whole life, and that doesn't really connect with you. Yeah. But you really like bring them value by doing those things, and I think that's awesome. Bringing people authentic content.
Yep.
I think that's one big change as well, or big difference between yourselves and a lot of the other farmers that are going about this. You guys are in a little bit of everything, right? So even I want to say livestock, almost not really livestock, but like like pets, animals,
like animal
and this and
encounters.
that. Animal encounters. Like a lot of folks don't even indulge in any of that. They're just growing and that's it, right? And they're kind of happy with that.
Sure.
But you guys kind of explore that aspect of it, and then also the growing and also the value-added services, and also the cool things like weddings and the corn mazes and whatnot, right? So. I love to touch on the wedding side of things because I get every single day inquiries about folks wanting to buy a parcel so they can host events like weddings. But you guys have an amazing site. Sure. And it's very hard because I always tell people location is everything. Sure. And you guys capitalized on the wedding venue. Yeah. That thing is amazing. Yeah. So that's the one right on the other north of your current main parcel?
It is on this. So there's 2 sites actually. One is where we just do ceremonies. Okay. And the other one is where people are able to have a reception and full-on events, etc. Yeah. That barn, the ceremony site, is something that we dedicated towards the Mount Baker view. Yes. Right? It actually does double purpose that many people don't know about. So it actually has 2 ponds built in, but those ponds are reservoirs from the greenhouse. So there's regulations. Yeah. I'm actually not 100% sure about the regulations, but if you don't reuse the water that comes off the top of your greenhouse, I think you get dinged a substantial amount of money.
Yeah, I'm aware of that one. Yeah. So there, you have to have a little bit of I forget what it's called. Not a rain collection.
It's a reservoir.
I forget what it's called, but you do need the one. Yeah.
So we said, okay, opposed to making this ugly eyesore, let's build it into the experience that brides.
That's innovation right there.
And my dad actually wanted to make a heart first. Oh. Right? So I was like, yo, calm down a little bit. Calm down. So we actually made 2 ponds side by side, and then the bride walks right through the ponds towards the Mount Baker view, and then the arbor is facing or right in front of the Mount Baker view, and then that's where a lot of brides get married. And it's been there in the same kind of space for many years, and it's worked out well. People love it if they want to have an outdoor venue. And then the other one that we spoke about, the barn, it's a 80-year-old dairy barn. So original barn, never touched, been in that same exact spot ever since we moved to that property. And there's still records somewhere, and there's eye hooks of where the cows were being held, and the poles are even worn down with the cows rubbing against it with their necks. And So it's pretty cool that brides get to marry.
The rustic vibe.
That's the rustic
That's all
vibe.
it is. Yeah, that's awesome. And now
yeah.
everybody wants that as well,
100%.
right? So that's awesome. Man, that's awesome because you guys are hitting it in so many different ways that is ideal. Like I remember when I first saw that picture of the mountain views behind the pond, and I was like, what mountain are you guys flying up to and that you have this view? Like where the heck is this? Because you don't see it on the road where that is, right? I'm like, or maybe you do, I don't know. But I've tried. I was like, where is this?
You can't really see it. Yeah, you can't really see it. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
our venue is beautiful. You know, we're super happy and we're lucky to have that venue.
Absolutely.
You know, it's awesome.
And I mean, it really doubles down into, and once again, it comes back to vertical integration, the winery, the weddings, it all comes hand to hand, right? Like hand in hand with that. Yep. And so maybe you can talk a little bit about that. Like I know the wedding side, it's a little bit tricky because you can only have a certain amount of weddings per year.
Sure.
I think it's 10 or 11.
I think 10.
Yeah. I think it's 10,
yeah. So, I mean, a lot of folks don't actually know that. And they're coming into this, they wanting to buy a parcel that's, got maybe a nice venue on it. But they're not aware that, you can't float the entire purchase on weddings. You know what I mean? Like it's a certain amount you can do and that's it. Yeah. And the rest of it, you got to kind of have some sort of agricultural venture to make up for the rest or what have you, right? So, but you guys, that parcel, how long have you guys owned that as well? Like that was...
I think
not first one, right?
I couldn't tell you when we bought that. I didn't see. I couldn't remember. I think next to the greenhouse. Yeah.
I think
16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not
17?
okay.
Yeah, around there.
It was just a giant gravel pit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I heard about that the other day. Literally like 2 or 3 days ago, I heard there was a gravel pit. And I was like, what the heck?
It was like 100 feet deep there.
Yeah. It'd be fun to go back and go Google Earth.
Yeah.
And you can see how it transitions.
I have. I have a little saved somewhere too.
Yeah. And you were mentioning, because it was a gravel pit, you guys planted corn on it to like kind of fix up the soil.
Yeah.
Which resulted into the haunted corn maze and everything else, which is, man, that's genius.
It just worked out. It just worked out. Yeah. I think that's what we do well, man. It's like,
life gives you lemons, you turn it into lemonade, right?
But we'll take lemons and we'll take apples and make something out of it.
Yeah.
It's like something random. And it just works out well, and then we'll try to float the rules and make sure that we can stick within the boundaries of what's allowed to do on the other land and still be sustainable, still produce a crop, and still feed ourselves as families, and also provide something fun for the communities to do.
Absolutely, man. You gotta.
That's us.
That's innovation, yeah. And even I think it's the latest purchase that you guys had was the forest. I'm pretty sure, right?
That's right, yeah.
Man, you guys made that into like a nice pumpkin event entirely for like the fall season. I was like, holy moly, guys, come on. What's your guys' plan for that parcel? I think you guys have parking in there. There's a couple different, that event happening. Is there anything else, other plans for that? Or?
Something around ag. I have a few big ideas I kind of want to maybe try to tackle the next few years. How it will happen, I'm not sure.
Because I was always wondering. I was like, it's not been cleared or anything. I don't know if it's unclearable, if there's creeks or something. Maybe they want it, or
I'm pretty sure you can clear it. I'm not sure. We'll have to follow the regulations, right? But we are doing some ag on it. But at the same time, it's got to work with making farming fun, right? That's what we always want to do. And I was in like one of the city meetings. The whole family was there, and we've been to a lot of talks and have the ability to steward some of the conversations for what's allowed in ALR and what you should be able to do in agritourism venues. And it kind of just hit me when I was in the meeting. There was like 40 of us there. And I was like, listen, all day, every day, kids and children and people of all different ages are looking at their phone and looking at, people driving a Lamborghini or being a YouTube star or want to be doctors or whatever it is that's a high-paying job or in tech. But who's making farming fun? Right? I said, we sensationalize farming for our local community so they actually are interested in pursuing careers which are revolved around ag, which can support the entire family. Like there's myself, my wife, my kid, my brother, his wife, my sister, our parents are all cash flow positive because of this farm venture that we do. Who can say that, still have fun, try new things, and not get bored in agriculture these days, right? People definitely have generational farms and have built wealth over the years that are able to pass down for the generations next, But we want those to stay in families. We want those farm parcels, even though they're protected by ALR, to still be agriculturally responsible for the communities. That's kind of our ultimate wish, right? And we always want to revolve everything around agriculture. So whatever we do is going to come down to that, and just make it fun.
Yeah.
It's got to be blast. If it's not a blast, we're not doing it.
Yeah. One thing that I remember is we were in one of those city meetings, and I think we were talking about, maybe the lounge, how do we get the lounge approved? And one of the things the city is like, you guys do agriculture, the lounge might be a little bit borderline, right? And one thing that I remember somebody mentioning is like, their kid goes to our farm to have fun, but they won't go to their own farm and pick raspberries, right? Or blueberries, right? So that's, in a way, it's continuing farming, right? Because you see more and more is like our generation, Amir and I, your generation, people don't want to be in the farm anymore. They want to sell their parcels. Somebody's going to come in and buy those. Driscoll might come in and buy,
these bigger corporations
acres, right?
and all that.
So we're trying to keep that, a family business.
Absolutely. And that's why I really wanted you guys here, because this avenue, agritourism, for example, is another thing that our generation can really latch onto in a way that perhaps the previous generation weren't able to.
Sure.
Right? Because we're able to kind of see that opportunity, but also have fun while doing it. So, I mean, for you guys to kind of lead the way in so many different avenues really allows people to kind of pick and choose what makes sense for their operation. True. And maybe they'll pick up on one or two things and they'll run with it, and they'll have another, another generation that picks up from there. Right? Which is a great way to lead.
100%. That's what we want to do.
Yeah. Great. I'd love for there to be 100 fruit wineries.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does competition like increase like your ability to kind of put that fruit wine out there? Like, I think it would be a good thing, wouldn't it, to have 100%. More fruit wineries and all this. Obviously, you guys would still lead the way, right? Because you guys are first, for as far as I know, right? So,
I'll give you an example. I mean, say Save on Foods, right? If they have one fruit wine vendor, they're only going to give them 1 or 2 spots. But if they have a fruit wine category, they'll give you an end cap. They'll give you a lot more real estate, right? So that's one way. Another way is just builds more consumers. The more fruit wines out there, it gives people more chances to try fruit wine, right? Because fruit wine is still a new product that's up and coming, and the more people that try it, more people that are innovating and creating fruit wine, it's just better for the whole ecosystem, right? That's why the Okanagan, people drive 4 hours from Vancouver to go there, because there's hundreds of wineries and like 30, 40 acres, right? And it's just tasting rooms. Whereas in the Fraser Valley, there's maybe 8 or 9, right? So people it's not a destination. So if there's multiple tasting rooms in the Fraser Valley, in the local area, people will stay here and shop, right? That's a big thing.
Even breweries or cideries, or even people who were mocktails are a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's been spammed all over TikTok these days. So anyone who's taking our current product is helping all the way from the top to have more customers' eyes on it, to also to using up that supply that we already have an abundant amount of, right? So I think that it's all there. It's just having more people invest. But then, man, it's easy to say this, but having the community and like municipalities and ALR and federally from provincial and everyone's support and provides grants, subsidies, it's definitely, I think, important. I think we definitely need more of it. We don't have enough of it. And especially when you look around the world, tech is leading the way for agriculture, and we need more tech in our agriculture for it to actually survive for the coming years. And for people to have a positive cash flow to say, okay, let's take some more risks. People aren't taking risks, right? So you have to have that available.
Yeah, I think there was some sort of push for ag tech facilities in Abbotsford, actually, specifically. I don't know if it was the ag district or something, or tech district, something like that, but never really came through. But
we're talking about like 9, 10 million. I think we need like 100 million. Like, a lot of money put towards it for us to be leaders. We can grow, we can grow everything here. Everything and anything. Our climate is unreal. Yeah, we had a very, like, if you just think about winter, we had such a tempered winter.
People were growing and people were building and people were doing everything that they normally were doing in fall up till January.
Seriously. We had -17 was for 2 days, right? And some of the stuff that we're doing in the greenhouse was the first in the world, or in Abbotsford, that we're doing, or in Canada, I'm pretty sure on the West Coast, no one else is doing it because we see that tech is leading the way. So I think tech and agriculture go hand in hand, and we need more focus on it. I'm excited to see what happens at the Trade X.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, absolutely. We'll be there. We'll see you guys there as well. But I know that on that point, actually, I think that's a really good way for new entrants to kind of get into it in a way that's exciting and new. And, you know, it's the next generation, right? So a lot of people are getting into tech, but they're from farming families. Why not mix the two, right? Really get into tech and ag and like lead the way in that. Right, so a lot of folks could be doing that, and I mean, tourism is a way to start it.
Sure.
All these things are a way to start it, right? But ultimately, I think tech is the way to go.
100%
over the long run.
Yeah,
and maybe that's our next generation.
Artificial strawberries.
Right?
Yeah. Artificial, or is it what's it called?
Lab-grown strawberries.
Artificial intelligence strawberries, right?
Yeah,
AI strawberries, right? There you go.
AI to find the best sweet, the sweetest tasting, and all this and that, right? Yeah, absolutely. Man, that's awesome. So, I mean, what's next for you guys? I know you guys have honestly, I could rattle off like 17 different things that you guys do, but the reality is there's probably so much more in your guys' minds that you guys want to do. What's next for you?
Yeah, I think we're in the process of scaling and kind of leading what our next few years are going to be like. So it's still growth. You know, so one of the things my brother said is that we were in 300 local wineries, but then in BC, but then we're in 70 in Alberta. So expanding to new areas, distribution on that side of things. And it's also great to hear that. I didn't know that we had 70, but the 70, just to let you know, I'm pretty sure this is a fact. The last 6 months is when the 70 happened, right?
Yeah, since October.
So last 4 months.
Yeah.
So it's all gas still, eh?
Yeah, but where the 300 just happened over 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. So who knows where we're going to be at next year this time? Maybe 500 or 600 wineries, or sorry, private liquor stores. And then in regards to tourism, more of it. I think that we were gonna challenge the status quo, be leaders in the area of providing on-farm experiences, and give people what they're lacking. And I think that's hands-on farm experiences, and that's the direction that we're gonna be taking Maan Farms as a whole, and it's just having fun while we do it. Absolutely. You know, from everything to anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and speaking of fun, like that maze that you guys do for Halloween, it's unreal, dude. Like it is unreal. Like I used to be a big fan of Fright Nights and all this and that, and then I was like, you know what? What's the point of that when you have a real experience right here, like in Abbotsford, right? So kind of just, I feel like a lot of people don't even know about it, and they should.
Sure.
And I'm always pushing, like, you know what? Go check that out, right? So, and I mean, you have a couple different experiences now.
Yep. Yeah.
And maybe you can speak to that one.
Yeah, the scariest corn maze in Canada. Damn, it started when we were like in grade 9 or 10. I was in grade 9 or 10, so almost 13, 14 years ago. Wow, really? Yeah, it was just a regular corn maze, and my dad and mom went to Canadian Tire, just bought like a weed whacker, and we used one of the chainsaws that we had. And they said, call your friends over, you know, we'll have hot dogs and whatever. And then we put an ad in the newspaper saying, we have, what's it called, Papa Joe's corn maze at night or something. And we had maybe like 5 or 6 people show up, and we just chased them around, had some fun.
I didn't know that.
It was a blast. And we did that one year. I think we did it another year, but then it died off for a few years. And then in 2013 or 2014, I said, let's try something different and new. And we revised it to where it's not a big, crazy maze. It's actually a single path. So a lot of people don't know that it's actually a single path, even though we make it so complicated. And it allowed us to have proper throughput and understand what throughput actually meant. And that year we had maybe 80 people come. And I was sitting there. I was still in university, so I would sit there in my truck, do my homework while people would show up. And when they'd show up, I had some of the actors in the field that we'd pay. And I'd like actually whistle as loud as I could to let them know that they're coming, you know? So that's how it started. And year after year, it kind of blew up. And to one year, I said, let's call it something unique. And this is kind of the John Challert principle. It's something that's really helped define what we are. And I said, let's call ourselves the scariest corn maze, and actually let's try to be properly scary. So we leaned into something which is unique to who we wanted to be, and we still had a lot of fun doing it. And we had like an hour of we had a lineup of 2.5 hours that year. So it was crazy. I said, okay, we got something here. Then we, got busier and busier over the years, and a lot of challenges, still a lot of challenges. And now we're proud to say that we have probably one of the best experiences in BC for scaring people in a cornfield,
Yeah.
right? And it's a blast. Like we have a lot of fun from starting it to finishing it.
Yeah. No, I love it because, well, I personally love getting scared, but my wife not so much.
Okay.
I brought her out, and she had the one-time experience, and she's like, "Yeah, nope, not my cup of tea."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then I had to bring cousins in next time, so
There you
it's a
go.
good time. It's a good time, man.
There you go.
And there's one more topic that I really want to touch on, and that's Dragon's Den. Now, you guys were just on it. I don't know if we want to spoil it, but I'll leave that to you guys if you want to or not. But I think it was a really good experience to watch.
Yeah.
Locals, like you guys are legends after this, man. I was like, holy, these guys are up there, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
funny.
very similar beginnings, but
Sure.
man, you guys are leading the way. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is innovation right here. And I mean, just to be able to kind of go up there, right? And kind of put something so innovative up there. I don't know. Maybe you guys can speak to that. I don't know how.
Yeah,
how'd you
I
guys go?
think it's funny, like kind of like we just do stuff, like just do it, right? So one of my employees had the idea, why don't you go on Dragon's Den? And they were doing applications, so we just signed up, we sent a video, then it went to the next level, and then we actually got a chance to do the pitch. And I was like, why don't we just try to get the winery out there? You know, it wasn't necessarily about getting a deal, it was the exposure is a big thing, right? Getting a deal would have been awesome. I'm not sure if you guys have watched, but we didn't actually get a deal.
That's what Tony one.
Oh, you can cut that out.
They go and watch it.
You can cut that out. But yeah, it was a great experience. What was awesome was just being in front of 5. They were literally dragons, right? They get you like off guard. There's a lot of stuff that they didn't show.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, I'd say 75% of it didn't show.
Yeah, because I felt like it was like, like a lot of things were missed. I was like, there's
Yes.
probably so much more that they explained here, guys.
Yes,
Come on.
Yeah. It was very curated, and they did a good
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
of making it air as it did.
Yeah, one thing that they didn't show was, I think it was Michelle. She mentioned that the wine is so sweet, right? Kind of from a fruit wine perspective, that's kind of the negative connotations that we have, is fruit wine is so sweet. But there's innovative things that you can do with fruit wines. So the way that wine works is you take a fruit and you ferment it. And when you ferment fruit, the yeast is consuming the sugars and the wine is becoming completely dry, right? And that means a blueberry, a strawberry, a raspberry, or blackberry wine can be super dry and not sweet, right? So you have that creativity to create that product. And it, we have 3 products here. We have our blackberry wine, which is like semi-dry. We have our pumpkin spice wine, which is an innovative new product that we launched, which is super sweet. But we also have our Belzers. This is a raspberry wine product that's 1 gram of sugar per can, right? So that's different innovative things that you can do with fruit wine. I think that's a point that they missed was like, I mentioned it in the initial pitch, was like fruit wine is innovative and unique. Grape wine is boring, right? Because we can go out there and make a pumpkin spice wine for fall. But if you're a grape winery growing Chardonnay and Merlot, you're not going to make a pumpkin spice wine, right? Maybe next time we make a cranberry wine that people consume for Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? Maybe we do a wine specific for Canada Day. That's like a rose flavored wine or something, or Valentine's Day. That's stuff that people can't do as a grape winery. And I think getting back to that, it's like farming is not becoming sustainable as like growing blueberries and selling blueberries. Why don't you guys go and make blueberry wine? Right? Why don't you make a value-added product? I would love for there to be more fruit wineries out there. But getting back to Dragon's Den, I think the biggest benefit was like all 5 of us were there as a family. We got the word out. It was awesome to be in front of the dragons.
Man, that's going to be a pivotal moment to look back on maybe 20, 30 years from now. It's going to be like, man, we did that. Right?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
100%.
Well, congrats on that, man. I love it. I'm looking forward to seeing more great things coming out of you guys. And you know what? We're going to be here every step of the way, just watching. And hopefully we can get other people kind of following in your footsteps, because I think it's a good way to go. Especially for, in terms of land, it's very hard to afford. It's getting harder to stay in farming, right? So exploring these other avenues of making income, or at least having fulfillment on the farm is ideal, right? And this is the way to go.
Yeah, we are actually looking for people to work with. So maybe this is something a little bit selfish, that maybe your viewers, because they're in real estate, they might be interested. So anybody has a farm out there or has a space that they don't know what to do, give us a call. we're always open to talking shop and seeing what the best thing could be on their property, and potentially we can be involved in it. We'd love to.
I might have a chat with you guys afterwards,
Yeah.
but
That's
yeah, no, this is awesome, man. I'm looking forward to seeing other things. What's the best way that people can kind of reach out to you guys? I think you guys have so many different services and
Sure.
offerings. I know the corn maze is a big one. I know you guys have something for every season, and of course the winery, right? I guess the best way to probably
Just Maan Farms, maanfarms.com. Check our Instagram out, or give us a call. Right,
Yeah.
we have our phone number online. Call anytime.
perfect.
That's it.
Yeah. If
Amir,
you're looking to get
Gaurav?
married, come
Yeah.
to the farm.
100%, right? That's the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah, really get integrated, right? Because man, that experience, I can't see it anywhere else. It's I've not seen yet a better view than that one.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah. Amir, Gaurav?